Welcome to everyone to this 11th annual SEN Prize award event. The SEN Prize is sponsored by Global Financial Integrity and ASAP, Academic Stand Against Poverty. I want to say just a few words about Amartya Sen and Thomas Pogge before we get started. Amartya Sen, you know, is a world-renowned economist, won the Nobel Prize in Economics for his work in welfare economics and social justice theory, but went on to understand that he needed a deeper understanding of philosophy and studied philosophy very carefully and thoroughly. He has brought two disciplines together in his work. I mention that because I also want to praise Thomas Pogge for doing the same thing. Thomas started with philosophy under John Rawls at University. He was the star pupil of John Rawls and understood at a point that he needed a strong grasp of economics and studied economics as well, not only the theories of Amartya Sen, but others. Thomas Pogge is a singular individual. He understands philosophy, he understands economics, and he understands what we do in global financial integrity, which is to focus on illicit financial flows around the world. Thomas was on our board of directors for a number of years. He is the only person in the world who understands philosophy, understands economics, and understands what we are dealing with. Najib, you're going to be handling the technicals.
Yes,
we
please.
we can go into the papers. We had exceptionally good papers this year, and have awarded the prize equally to the three best. I would like to ask each winner to tell us where you're from, what school you were in or graduated from, what work you're doing now, and what your ambitions are in the future. If you have not done that in your video, I want to have that personal introduction by you as we get started. I'm going to take them in the order in which Najib listed them in his email. And first of all, ask Wisdom if you would tell us where you're from and tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then we will go on into your video. The show is yours, Wisdom.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Raymond. And I must say that it's a privilege to be here. I'm really flattered to be one of the co-winners of the SEN Amartya essay competition 2024. My name is Wisdom Eissien, and I'm from Nigeria. I'm currently studying master's degree, governance and public policy at the University of Passau, Germany. I'm also a DAD scholarship holder. And yeah, my academic background is in public administration and local government. And I intend to be an expert in research, and I have interest in new and digital democracies, comparative public administration, African politics and development. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to learning a lot from the conference. Thank you very much.
Wisdom, where are you from in Nigeria?
Okay, I'm from Akwa Ibom State, the southern region of Nigeria.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. I've had a long history with Nigeria. I know Akwa Ibom. Talked to a friend of mine in Akwa Ibom just a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
And I thought that's probably either Akwa Ibom or Cross River, I thought is where you were from. Okay, Najib, let's go to Wisdom's video presentation.
Sure. Just give me 1 minute. I'm sharing the screen. Where is Wisdom?
Hello, everyone. My name is Wisdom
I hope you can hear me clearly. My name is Wisdom, and I'm from Nigeria. I'm a DAD scholarship holder currently studying for master's degree in government and public policy at the University of Passau, Germany. As an aspiring research expert, my research interests include digital and new democracies, African political economy, African politics and development, comparative public administration. So first, I want to thank the Yale University Global Justice Program, led by Professor Thomas, for the SEN Amartya Essay Contest, for which I am a co-winner of the 11th edition, and also for the several other good works that you all do. And of course, not forgetting the Global Financial Integrity non-profit think tank in Washington. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the other winners. The title of my winning essay is Digital Shadows in Illicit Financial Flows, Unraveling Nigeria's Cryptocurrency Paradox and Illuminating Pathways to Financial Integrity. To begin, I'd like to state that this presentation will be subdivided into 5 major areas. The first of which is introduction, where I will establish the inspiration behind the paper that transcends, the need for just wanting, to win the prize money of the competition. And after that, we'll look at the adoption trends, impacts of IFFs using the blockchain in Nigeria. We'll also look at the enabling factors of cryptocurrency and blockchain in, illicit financial flows. And then we'll look at practical solutions to on-chain illicit financial flows in Nigeria. And after that, I'll drop a conclusion. With that said, and by way of introduction, I'd like to state that today's interconnected world, and of course, the evolving technological space have made combating illicit financial flows difficult for countries and international authorities to grapple with. And one of such technological advancements is the blockchain and its various cryptocurrencies. We talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, USDT, and a host of others. Now, according to Chainalysis, a US-based blockchain research institute, in 2023, the total value of cryptocurrencies stemming from illicit addresses on the blockchain amounted to $22.2 billion, slightly lower than the 31.5 billion recorded in 2022. Now, according to this same institute, Nigeria ranks second globally in cryptocurrency adoption just after India. And this begs the question, why should a developing country like Nigeria, sitting on the rungs of worst economies in the world, and I do not say that proudly, be leading the pack of cryptocurrency adoption ahead of countries like the US, China, Germany, and other technologically advanced societies? So it is on this basis that this essay was geared at identifying the reasons for this paradox, while also shining light on the impact of cryptocurrency adoption in Nigeria, the trends, and of course, the enabling factors. So it is also important to know that as a scientific effort, the Eissien leans on Fred Davis's technological acceptance model. This is a theoretical framework that explains the reason why people adopt to use certain technology based on 2 indicators. The first of which is the perceived, usefulness, and the second is the perceived ease of use. That is how easy it is, for people to use the technology. Additionally, besides using, academic literature or leveraging on existing literature, data was also collated from an interview with the staff of the United Bank of Africa to evaluate the ease of international transactions on the blockchain as against centralized financial institutions like, the commercial banks in Nigeria, which we'll see in details later. Now, on the adoption of cryptocurrency in Nigeria, from the image here, you can see that Nigeria is in second place on the Global Cryptocurrency Adoption Index 2023, just after India. And as a matter of fact, still maintains a second place in the 2024 Cryptocurrency Adoption Index that was just recently released by Chainalysis. While countries like the United States and China placed 4th and 11th respectively. Now, besides Nigeria's second place, on the 2023 Global Cryptocurrency Adoption Index, Nigeria ranks first in peer-to-peer, what we call P2P exchange trade volume, second in centralized service value received, and third in retail service, value received globally, recording over 50 billion worth of Bitcoin and stable coins received by indigenous exchanges between August 2021 and July 2023. Now, that said, the surge in the use of cryptocurrency in Nigeria can be attributed to the country's young demography, tech-savvy youth, limited financial services, high inflation, currency depreciation. However, adding to that list are some other troubling factors. Talk about corruption, cyber crimes, romance scam, and what is referred to as Yahoo in our local parlance, and amongst the youth and even those in government. So based on this, we'll just look at some of the trends of on-chain illicit financial flows in Nigeria. So from the table here, we can see on-chain IFFs involving Nigeria and other countries like Kenya, the US, the UK, China, Vietnam. The list goes on. This data was actually sourced from reports of the EFCC, or case reports of the EFCC, that is the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and elucidating on a few. In the case involving South Africa, Norway, United Kingdom, and Barbados, in 2022, Benjamin Ika, whose mugshot you can see here, was convicted and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for his involvement in a $1.6 million cryptocurrency fraud. Ika pleaded guilty to a one-count amended charge under Section 14, subsection 2 of the Cybercrime Act 2015. His arrest was by the EFCC, and it was as a result of his fictitious cryptocurrency investment website, through which he promised significant investment returns, and this led to unsuspecting, victims from South Africa, Norway, and the United Kingdom, incurring a loss of about 26 bitcoins, equivalent to $1.6 million as of February 2023. We also have other cases, like I've already, stated in the last slide, involving China and Nigeria, worth over $72 million, and also that of Vietnam and Nigeria, worth over $2 million. With that said, on the subject of impact on-chain illicit financial flows in Nigeria, in 2023, the Central Bank of Nigeria imposed a stringent regulatory measure against Binance, the foremost cryptocurrency exchange company, which most of us should know already, because the founder, that is the CZ, Sam Peng, just finished serving a 4-month jail time in the US. And according to the CBN, this was as a result of, the instability created by Binance. The CBN accused Binance of providing services in Nigeria without remitting taxes, and as a result, depriving the nation of crucial revenue. According to the CBN governor, the estimated amount of transacted, funds without tax through Binance was about $26 billion, by unidentified sources within a year, and as a result, leading to concerns regarding its impact on the economic stability of the country. So from the image, you can see the arrested senior staff of Binance, who is being accompanied by some lawyers to the law court for trial in Abuja, Nigeria, this year. Now, if the CBN claims that Binance, the currency exchange company, is being exploited by some entities, has a ripple effect or ripple negative effect on the economy, then it will make, so much sense to actually see the current state of Nigeria's economy. So here we can see, according to a report by the World Bank, in February this year, Nigeria's current economic inflation rate reached a 24-year apex of 31.7%, indicating a dear economic quagmire. From the image here, we can see the protracted, upward growth of inflation between April 2023 and January 2024. Now, alluding to roots and our, Nigeria is facing its worst economic crisis in decades, with skyrocketing inflation, the national currency in free fall, and millions of people, struggling to buy food. The pain is widespread. Unions strike to protest salary of around $20 a month. People die in stampedes, desperate for free sacks of rice. Hospitals are overrun with women racked by, spam from calcium deficiencies. Okay, so we look at this also. According to a report by Mbeke panel, it would have taken about 10 years between 2000 and 2011 to meet the Millennium Development Goal, or the Sustainable Development Goal 3.2, of reducing child mortality to 77 from 186 per 100,000. If ISM were eliminated, as against 28 years it would take based on current arrangements. So from these, we can see now that the impact of IFFs, especially on chain IFFs, on the economy of Nigeria cannot be overemphasized. So with all this being established, a good question or questions to ask will be, how does the blockchain and its cryptocurrencies enable illicit financial flows in Nigeria? What is the perceived usefulness or ease of use of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies, to criminal entities? And is the blockchain and its cryptocurrency an easily exploited channel compared to commercial banks in Nigeria? In answering this question, we would look at the intrinsic and extrinsic factors of on-chain, IFFs in Nigeria. Now, there are multiple factors responsible for on-chain illicit financial flows, starting with decentralization, which is a factor that eliminates intermediaries, centrality, and supervision. And it is this element of decentralization that fosters the susceptibility of the blockchain and its cryptocurrencies to IFFs. Now, as Fadalka puts it, in Nigeria, despite the implicit ban on cryptocurrency, the use of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is appreciating due to the elusive elements of decentralization. Sorry about that. Another germane factor enabling on-chain IFFs is anonymity. It is important to explain here that anonymity is not the default nature of the blockchain. The blockchain in itself is an open ledger of accounts, so it's transparent, and it should be best described as pseudonymous. However, due to the employment of privacy coins, tumblers, mixers, dusting, chain hopping, conjoin, and others, anonymity is ensured on the blockchain. So the privacy coins like Monero, Zcash, and novel coins that differ entirely from other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, and a host of others. Hence, they provide their users with transactional privacy. Now, tumblers, mixer, chain hopping, conjoining, and even bridging and swapping, as their names imply, are services that users initiate to mix or swap transactions and the addresses to obscure the origin of illegal funds. Dusting here entails the transference of several small, amounts of huge sum of illegal funds into different accounts to conceal the true amount and owners of the funds. Now, from all of these factors, leaning on Fred Davis's theory, as said earlier, the perceived usefulness of the blockchain to unscrupulous individuals and networks, can be attributed to these factors. So these are what, criminal networks or individuals with a useful factor or useful factors, in using the blockchain for
Wisdom, I'm not hearing you. Voice is not coming through at the moment.
I think it has to do with the video player that was used. Perhaps,
I'm hearing you now. Yes.
okay.
So Wisdom, we can hear you when actually it is coming, but when we play the video, it stops, right?
Exchange company like
The video player you're using.
So based on the interview, a Nigeria wanting to make an international transfer to the bank, or a bank in Nigeria must have to go to a bank to do so. And this is because international transactions cannot be initiated on the bank's mobile application. And this is not just for, the UBA, but for every other bank in Nigeria. At the bank, the individual must keep a foreign currency form, fill it up, submit it to a teller officer, and wait for about 1 to 2 days for a completed transfer. The transfer charge for an international transaction is a flat rate of $50, which is exclusive of 0.05% and 0.075% of the amount and value-added charge, value-added tax charges rather. And it increases too, depending on the to be transferred amount. Also noted from the interview that the receiver will also bear the brunt of the transfer charges called offshore charges. So for example, if I'm to make an international transfer at a bank in Nigeria to someone in the US, not only will I be charged for this, but the person also, in the US will receive a part of the brunt of the transfer charges. And I found this quite ridiculous, but contrary to the commercial bank, according to Binance crypto transfer webpage, the cost of transfer on the blockchain is within minutes and as little as 0.50 cents, depending on the amount transferred. And transactions can be found anywhere and can be done rather anywhere and anytime with the use of the Binance mobile application and one phone. So with this, we can see the relative ease of use despite the purported complexity of the blockchain. Criminal entities will find it easier to make transactions anywhere and at any time with little or no supervision on the blockchain as against, going to a commercial bank in Nigeria to make, transactions. Hence, will also be a first, result for their shady transactions. So looking at the external factors enabling cryptocurrency in Nigeria, I also examined regulatory framework guiding cryptocurrency, and my examination of the regulatory framework in Nigeria reveals a very weak, inconsistent, and porous regulatory framework for the use of cryptocurrency in Nigeria. It must be stated that there are no comprehensive operational laws in taxing cryptocurrency in Nigeria at the moment. Hence, the one draft that is still undergoing reading at the National Assembly, or what we know as Parliament, and this is according to the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Services. So as it's stated here, we can see the inconsistency with the regulation of cryptocurrency in Nigeria. We can see how that in January 2017, there was an issuance of a circular prohibiting financial institutions from engaging in any form of transaction involving digital currencies. In 2021, it was also taken a bit further. The banks and other financial institutions were also, instructed not to deal with any form of cryptocurrency or account as well, using cryptocurrency. In October, we see the CBN introducing a digital currency, that's the e-naira, in a bid to mitigate, the decentralization or to supplant, the lack of centrality in the blockchain. However, this also did not, yield fruits or wasn't successful because many youth still resorted to conventional cryptocurrencies. Also, in December, we see, following a change in regime, the Central Bank of Nigeria reversed its position on crypto assets within the country and instructed banks to disregard the previous ban on cryptocurrencies, made by the previous administration. And of course, a few months like already established with the stringent regulation and acquisition of Binance. Again, all of this only goes to show the lack of comprehensiveness and the level of inconsistency, the regulatory framework guiding the use of cryptocurrency in Nigeria. Next, we'll look at practical solutions provided by paper. So here you can see mitigating on-chain illicit financial flow and eradicating poverty requires several actions. And I'll use the word action intentionally because the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So my profiled solutions to illicit financial flows on the blockchain and cryptocurrency include the following: cooperation with fintech companies and leveraging technological solutions. Now, most transactions involving illicit financial flow often go through fintech accounts rather than commercial banks, because with the bank, so most scrupulous entities would avoid the banks. Now, it will be important for put in place collaboration between fintech companies like Flutterwave, Kuda, OPay, and the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, and other regulatory bodies, to enhance regulatory oversight and enforcement of a clampdown, regarding unregulated cryptocurrency transactions and fiat currency conversions or fiat currency conversions. Now, this cooperative approach could leverage also the technological innovations of the fintech companies and the expertise as well of the regulatory bodies to strengthen the implementation of anti-money laundering frameworks. So the next on-chain illicit financial flow in Nigeria solution is tackling the menace of corruption. Corruption, of course, is the primary catalyst of illicit financial flow in Nigeria. And this is because IFFs originate first from the ability to acquire wealth through illicit means rather than just merely facilitating a transfer on the blockchain. So addressing corruption in Nigeria seems like a lifelong journey. However, it should involve, amongst many things, the guarantee of the independence of the judiciary and enforcement of, and enforcement agencies, the establishment of transparency and accountability within, government institutions, and the meting out of severe, unbiased penalties to offenders to deter others. Next is addressing poverty and unemployment. As the biblical verse of Proverbs 16:17 suggests, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Individuals facing economic hardship with no meaningful economic engagement often resort to desperate measures to survive. This accounts for why a large percentage of Nigerian youth engage in cyber crimes like Yahoo to make ends meet. Poverty alleviation should be prioritized in the battle against cyber fraud in Nigeria. The government of Nigeria should facilitate, the provision of institutional and infrastructural development, such as reliable power supply, adequate road networks, and a business-friendly regulatory environment, such as access to bank accounts, soft loans, grants, and skill acquisition, to encourage SMEs, as it is impossible to adequately provide jobs for the ever-thinning youth population of, the largest Black nation on earth. So the citizens can use this benefit, provided to generate income and livelihood for themselves. This would, by extension, help to eliminate poverty, which is one of the primary reasons for, crime involving, the blockchain. Because of time, I will just run through the other, recommendations in terms of solutions. So we also have revisiting and implementing a comprehensive legal and monitoring framework. We have international cooperation, information sharing, and regulatory framework. And of course, the last one, which is strong political will. So here, everything we know strives and fails on leadership. How a country is actually a reflection of the leadership of the country. So political will remains the underlying factor of other recommendations. So the political leaders ranging from the presidency, the members of the parliament, both at the state, federal, and even the local government levels in Nigeria should be ingenious and pragmatic in their approaches to regulating cryptocurrency and ensuring, factors like the recommendations here, executed. And of course, to the end that the ecosystem is well utilized. So this will not only reduce crimes, such as tax evasion, trade mispricing, currency financing, money laundering, associated with cryptocurrency, but will also allow for full utilization of the benefits of the ecosystem. Sorry about that again. So in conclusion, we've seen that the current economic crisis faced by Nigeria presents a paradoxical juxtaposition, which is that Nigeria simultaneously occupies a prominent position in global cryptocurrency adoption, while sitting on the rungs of the world's economies globally. Again, I don't say that proudly. Now, given the country's well-documented issues with systemic corruption and economic mismanagement, this imbalance or incongruity between Nigeria's leading cryptocurrency adoption and its severe economic difficulties suggests a potential correlation. Specifically, it raises the hypothesis that cryptocurrency may be serving as a robust pipeline for illicit financial transactions, and of course, potentially, intensifying the nation's economic challenge. Also, from the research, it was revealed that the decentralized nature of the blockchain and the anonymity orchestrated or enabled by mixers, tumblers, privacy points are identified as primary enabling factors of on-chain illicit financial flow in Nigeria. This area of the blockchain provide individuals and networks engaged in illicit financial activities such as tax evasion, trading, pricing, invoicing, cyber fraud, and terrorism financing with covert advantages for their illegal transactions. And these advantages, looking through the prism of the theory technological acceptance model for this research, can be categorized as perceived usefulness, while the costless, swifter, and 24/7 transfers on the blockchain in comparison to commercial banks in Nigeria, as we saw, can be categorized as the perceived, ease of use. However, it's important to say that the blockchain and cryptocurrencies should not be seen as entirely bad or negative, because it's an amoral, capable of being used for positive or negative, things. So despite challenges such as money laundering and investment scams leading to substantial revenue losses or, capital flight in Nigeria, cryptocurrency and its morphing ecosystem can, pave way for financial inclusivity and prosperity in the country. So according to the leadership of Nigeria should recognize this potential and not discard the benefits because of its drawbacks. Instead, political will must be pragmatically exerted in establishing an effective, regulatory framework to ensure the responsible and beneficial utilization of, this digital financial system for the country's prosperity. So with that, we also see the references, and this is actually the appendix for the interview that was conducted. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope to attend questions as well as receive your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wisdom. That was an excellent presentation, and I in particular appreciate it. Let me just make a couple of comments. You mentioned the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Nigeria. The Lagos office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is in the house that I lived in Lagos for years.
Wow.
Along the edge of 5 Cowrie Creek.
Wow.
The second thing, you mentioned the Mbeki panel on illicit financial flows from Africa. It was my pleasure to serve on that panel for years.
Wow.
And we are currently writing an oral history of the panel, how a quite disparate group of people came together to do something rather significant.
Wow.
Let me throw it open to the questions of all of you. Wisdom has linked his paper to the current economic situation in Nigeria, which is dire. Inflation is through the roof. I get emails all the time from people who are hurting in Nigeria. I appreciate your linking it to the current situation, but more broadly, let's throw it open to your questions, please. How about it? Any any takers?
So yeah, Wisdom, do you think it is the institutional problem mainly what you told us, like how the money is flowing illegally from one place to another country actually? So it is an institutional problem mainly. If we fix the institution, you were mentioning some institution, of course, in your talk also. So can we fix the problem? One point. And second, how is the role of hundi in your country, Nigeria? I'm not sure. So mainly hundi is working. For example, if I am working in Nigeria, I'm from Pakistan. I just give my money to some Nigerian friend and they are working in Pakistan. So their family or their relative gave me money. So that's basically on trust, hundi. So how these 2 points? Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Naji, for your question. I think in attending to it, I would like to say that the fight against on-chain illicit financial flow is like a fight against a, hydra-headed dragon. So you would look at it from different fronts. So institutionally, I think it's also an issue because, of course, Nigeria is, brimming with systemic corruption. So you want to look at a case of the judiciary, like, trying to see how you can ensure their independence and not being influenced by the executive arm of government. You also want to look at the individual tendencies, and being susceptible to corrupt practices and how you can, create, a shift in terms of orientation. So I think it's not just about the institution, it's multifaceted, it cuts across both institution, the individual, and even the system itself, the blockchain, and like I would say too, it's not possible that the fight against illicit financial flow on the blockchain can be stopped. I would rather use the word reduce. So on that basis, I think I attended to your question. Then your second question about, I've forgotten the word you called it. I don't.
Yeah, hundi.
Hundi. I don't think it's something that is being practiced in Nigeria. And I wouldn't say it's because of the lack of trust. I think people are just used to, transacting with, an institution, maybe like bank or, working with some of these fintech companies like Flutterwave, Kuda, or the most popular one, Remitly. So I don't think that's really is a thing that Nigerians, appeal to.
Okay. Thank you, Wisdom.
Thank you, Najid. Other questions, please. Let me throw one out, Najid. Do you see any connection to? I'm sorry. We'll come back to you. Do you see any connection between the cryptocurrency concerns and the activities of some of the Emirates? The Emirates have certainly been receptive to illicit money streaming out of Nigeria. Lots of money from Nigeria has flowed into Dubai, for example. Are there linkages as well in crypto trades?
Okay, I guess that's a question for me. I wouldn't say that the blockchain and its cryptocurrencies are the only sources or channels through which money, are being, transferred away or, sent to countries like Dubai you mentioned. I think there are also various other mediums. We talk about even gold. Gold is, I think, one very principal thing when you talk about Dubai. So I think it's also another medium because Nigeria also has gold, not in huge deposits, but I think it's also another medium that, most of these unscrupulous elements, would resort to in terms of making, illicit financial transfers. But I think currently, as it stands, if there is any ranking in terms of channels, network, criminal networks would exploit, I think the blockchain and its cryptocurrency will be, far ranking. And the reason is because of the, like I said, decentralization it provides. You talk about anonymity, you talk about, privacy coins, which completely give the users, 100% privacy, you know. And so I think these elements could be something that I would, use and say it could be. It's possible that yes, it's a channel that some persons use, you know, in terms of making transfers to Dubai and other countries you mentioned.
Please, any other questions? I'll throw one out, and it's a general question, Wisdom. What's going to break the cycle of inflation and poverty in Nigeria? It's the worst I've ever seen, and deeply concerning. What's going to change that? The president just yesterday replaced half a dozen ministers in his government, but what basically is going to improve the situation in Nigeria?
I think I'll appeal to the just awarded Nobel Prize laureates for economics. The work they did on why nations fail and, you know, using Nigeria as a case study. I think they brought out some very important, you know, reasons why we're where we are at the moment, and also ways we can actually, you know, exit the issue. So I think they talked about institutions. They talked about fixing the institutions, like I also mentioned. They also talked about reorientation, you know, changing the mindset, because I think corruption is, you know, deep in the fabric of, you know, the country, and you see the leadership also, you know, living for themselves and not for the people. So I think that reorientation is also something that is very key, and which I think if brought to bear would also reflect in so many other things. So yeah, I think that's my take. Maybe someone has something else to say.
That's interesting. My wife is a political scientist. After we were married, she taught at the University of Lagos from 1965 to 1970.
Wow.
When she read the Nobel Prize in Economics awarded to economists who were stressing institution building, she was a bit disturbed because political scientists have been saying this for decades. It's as though the economic profession was catching up with political thinking that has been going on for years. Let me ask if there's any final question before we move on. Anyone have a question?
Yeah, I have one question. Am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so when you mention regulatory framework, I want to know like what structural changes according to you is needed, and what factors you think should be considered in order to build that framework. And obviously, since cryptocurrency has an uncertainty in the market, so like how to protect the investors and how to make them aware, like from your lens, like can you just share that a bit?
Okay, I think from the research I did, it was revealed that there is actually no comprehensive regulatory framework at the moment, you know, guiding cryptocurrency use in Nigeria. So I do think still that if I'm to recommend, I think whatever framework is in place should incorporate, you know, a cooperation or a partnership with fintech companies, you know, and I wouldn't say regulation as, you know, just a word or just an action that should be taken. There should also be a place for partnership, because most of the funds that are, you know, sent, you know, using the blockchain pass through fintech accounts and not commercial banks. And of course, we know that the commercial banks are, you know, centralized, you know, institutions, but most of these fintech are not. So, and that is where most of these, you know, unscrupulous entities utilize. So I think it will make more sense, whatever, you know, regulatory framework that is in place, that there is not just regulation, there is also partnership or collaboration, you know, with the fintech companies. And I think that will make, you know, a lot of headway in terms of curbing on-chain illicit financial flows.
Okay, Wisdom, thank you very much. That was an excellent presentation, good questions, and a superb piece of work. Congratulations on being a winner.